Good morning, Washington. I'm Steve Batchelor, President of the 2021 Governor's Industrial Safety and Health Advisory Board. On the board, I represent labor for manufacturing here in the state. I work for KAISER Aluminum, and I'm the Safety and Health Chairman at the United Steelworkers Local 338 right here in Spokane. It's my honor and privilege to welcome you to the 70th annual event and our second virtual conference on behalf of the directors of the board. The board is comprised of labor, management, and public employees that represent many industries across the state, including aerospace, agriculture, construction, fleet management, manufacturing like me, and many more. Since 1949, the board has brought together our industry planning committees who dedicate their time to bring you an event that focuses on the current needs of safety and looks forward to forecast safety's needs ahead. This past year, we have faced even more challenges than before. We thought we were going to be in a place where we could gather together again, but COVID-19 has continued to hit every community hard. While we would much rather be together, we've brought you engaging speakers and content that will benefit our safety community and Washington State's workforce. I would like to take this moment to thank Rebecca Llewellyn, our conference manager, and Tasha Dragovich, along with their team of volunteers who worked tirelessly to make this event a success, and to the Department of Labor and Industries for your partnership and commitment to working with the board to keep workers safe. I would also like to thank every member of the board, including active emeritus members like Dale Armstrong and over 200 industry volunteers who serve on the planning committees. These are all the people behind the scenes, planning, giving their time and resources and knowledge to help put on such an amazing conference. A sincere thank you to our sponsors who have continued to support this conference through this challenging year, KAISER Aluminum and the Boeing Company. These are our platinum sponsors, along with contributors like West Rock, Workers Care Clinic, Atkinson Construction, CareWorks, and Pacific Pile and Marine. We truly are grateful for your support. And thank you to all the speakers who've been gracious with us, changing the conference over to an online event on such a short notice. Your willingness to still be part of this virtual conference is much appreciated. We are here because of our commitment to safety. Over the next few weeks, as we move forward with this virtual sessions, we ask you to participate in the conversation and to share your experiences. There are so many lessons learned and so much real-world experience in this audience. We look forward to connecting online. As we can all agree, workplace safety and health is what brought us here together. Thank you for choosing to attend online as we renew our commitment to making sure we're all working together so that at the end of the workday, everyone goes home safe and healthy. At this time, I'd like to share a welcome message from Washington State Governor Jay Inslee.
Hi, Governor Jay Inslee here. I'm certainly glad to join you at this year's Governor's Industrial Safety and Health Conference. That we're again unable to gather for this event in person highlights just how difficult the COVID-19 pandemic has been. We've had to get innovative to protect workers over the last 18 months, and we've simply got to continue to do so. I am confident that your efforts today and your commitment to workplace safety in your daily lives is protecting workers across sectors across our entire state. Every worker deserves to make it home to their family at the end of a hard day's work. And the showing here today across industry and labor represents the strength of our conviction in this regard. I want to extend my sincere thanks to the President of the board, Stephen Batchelor, and to the board members and hundreds of industry volunteers whose work makes this conference possible. I'd also like to thank L&I Director Joel Sachs, Acting Assistant Director Craig Blackwood, and the staff from the department for their flexibility and hard work every day to stay safe on the job. We know every day is a challenge, and COVID has made it even much more of a challenge. I really trust you'll find this year's sessions to be informative and well worth your time. And I want to thank you for digging deep and for everything you do to protect the safety and health of Washington workers. They deserve it, their families deserve it. Let's go take care of these great people. Good luck.
And thank you, Governor Inslee, for your commitment to the safety of workers in Washington State. And now I'd like to introduce the Washington State Department of Labor and Industries Director, Joel Sachs. Appointed Director of L&I in 2013 by Governor Jay Inslee, L&I's mission is to keep Washington safe and working. The agency administers many vital programs, including the state's worker compensation system and the Occupational Safety and Health Program.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 2021 Governor Safety and Health Conference. I was so looking forward to spending time with you in Spokane after missing last year's conference as a result of COVID. But unfortunately, based upon the conditions, this is the second year where we have to come together virtually, sit in our offices or sit at home and interact in these two-dimensional screens. What I so appreciate, though, is that you have come together, that you've paused from the incredibly important work that you do each and every day to spend this next little bit of time with others in your industry, where you can spend some time thinking about and talking about worker safety. If there's anything that I think we have all learned from this pandemic and the challenges that we have faced, it's how important it is to create and foster a safe workplace. And I want to take this moment to thank each and every one of you, because each of you in your own way, in your own workplace, have done things to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And as a result, you saved lives. And so I hope that as you reflect upon the amazing things that you've done over these last 18 months, going on 2 years to address COVID, you're able to step back and recognize that you have done something that truly matters in people's lives. Special shout out to all of you from Labor and Industries for the incredible hard work that you've done each and every day to provide support and consultation to so many employers across the state. You know, as I've been thinking about the future and our world of the post-pandemic, one thing that occurred to me is that we actually can learn something about the way we have approached the pandemic and the way we've approached worker safety that we can apply to so many other safety challenges that we all face. So bear with me here for a minute as I sort of think about what we've done at L&I, what so many of you have done across the state to protect people from COVID. There's a couple of lessons that I think are really incredibly important and applicable. First thing that I've heard from so many of you is if we're going to be successful in combating COVID, it's got to start from the top. It's got to start from the CEO, the leader of your organization, saying to our workforce, protecting you from COVID is of paramount concern, and we're going to lean in and do it right. Second thing that I've heard is that those of you who have had successful prevention programs have continually focused on the why. Why is it that we're taking all of these steps? Why are we changing our protocols? Why are we doing social distancing? Why are we asking you to mask up? And the more that we spend time explaining the why to our workforce, the more we get support from everyone recognizing it's important to take these safety messages. Third thing that I've learned is the importance of being clear on what we need to do. Whether it's, again, social distancing, wearing a mask, good hand hygiene, we know the things that prevent COVID, and the more clear and overt that we can be in communicating them, the easier it is for all of us to implement. The fourth learning for me has been the importance of active engagement and participation. I've been to so many meetings, even within my own organization, where just listening to our employees talk about their ideas on what we can do to promote safety, to prevent the spread of COVID. It's been incredibly helpful. And then lastly, has been a recognition that the work that we've been doing with COVID is not a once and done. It's not something that you can go to a meeting, make a decision, and then everybody's safe. That it's that daily and constant commitment to say, safety is an integral part of what we do each and every day. Now, many of you hopefully resonate with those things and you've experienced them in your own workplace. And when you step back and you think about it, what I just described is the makings of an incredibly effective safety culture. Messaging and support and commitment from the top, making sure that we get buy-in across our organization, having clear, specific activities that we all want to be engaging in, ensuring that there's active participation across the workplace, and recognizing that putting safety paramount each and every day is what creates that safe workplace. So as you go through this conference over these next few days, even though we're not together, what I'd ask you to do is to reflect on your own journey over these last 18 months. What are the lessons that you've learned as you have focused on protecting your coworkers from COVID? How can you apply those lessons to all the other hazards that are in the workplace? I hope that 3-4 years from now, as we're all together talking about safety, we reflect back on this pandemic and say the one good thing that came out of it is that we had the opportunity, as we came out of the pandemic, to ensure that we had an incredibly effective safety culture in our workplaces. That's my interest. I know it's yours, and I know coming together in this conference will help you achieve that. So have a great conference, and looking forward to seeing all of you, hopefully together next year, live and in person.
Thank you, Joel. And now in our program, we would like to recognize those who are involved in life-saving efforts here in Washington State. To kick things off, I'm pleased to introduce once again Governor Jay Inslee.
Hi, everyone. Governor Jay Inslee here. I'd like to welcome you to the 70th Annual Governor's Lifesaving Awards ceremony. The people we're recognizing today acted decisively in the face of unexpected emergencies, and their actions saved lives. These stories also strengthen our faith in humanity and demonstrate our connectedness. Because you never know when an emergency will occur, but the fast reactions of our honorees reassure us that our co-workers, our neighbors, and sometimes perfect strangers are there to do the right thing. I hope we can all feel a little safer knowing people like this are out there, and we certainly do. So with my heartfelt thanks and congratulations to today's honorees, I'm happy to introduce KXLY's Robin Nance to announce this year's Life-Saving Awards recipients. Congratulations.
Thank you, Governor Inslee. Our first heroes are Andre Rayford and Justin Baker of Atkinson Construction. Andre, Justin, and co-worker Gene Brown were organizing road construction signs in a storage yard, preparing for the evening's road closure. It was a hot day, so when Andre and Justin saw that Gene was sweating profusely and couldn't catch his breath, they thought Gene was experiencing heat exhaustion. He took a break in an air-conditioned truck and tried to rehydrate, but Gene's condition did not improve. Justin checked Gene's heart rate with an app on his phone. He compared Gene's with his own and knew something was really off. Justin immediately took Gene to Tacoma General Hospital, where medical staff determined he was suffering from a completely clogged artery. An emergency angioplasty cleared the blockage, and a stent was implanted to keep the artery open and blood flowing. 2 hours after Gene was rolled into the hospital, he called his coworkers to tell them he was feeling 1,000 times better and was even able to watch the procedure as doctors performed it. Doctors say Justin and Andre's decision to immediately transport Gene to the hospital most likely saved his life. The next life-saving award goes to Dwayne Kurtz along with Evan Magers. Dwayne was at work when he looked up and noticed a man lying on the ground about 100 feet away. At the same time, Evan Magers was moving dirt in the substation and saw the man on the ground. He saw the all-terrain forklift next to the man and his heart sank, thinking that man may have been run over by the forklift. The person lying on the ground was an employee of a contractor removing a transformer in the station. Evan noticed his foreman standing next to him with a cell phone. He asked if he called 911, and after answering no, Evan had him call for help while the rest of Dwayne's crew rushed in to help. The man had vomited and was seizing. The foreman said the man had not fallen, nor was he hit by the forklift. They were in part of the substation that had no power, so Dwayne and Evan were not concerned about electrical shock. They rolled the man onto his side to help clear his airway, but he instantly rolled onto his back. So they put Dwayne's sweatshirt under the man's head to protect it from injury during the seizure. As well, they covered him with a blanket. Minutes later, an ambulance and the fire department showed up. The man was able to walk under his own power to the ambulance. Evan says all the crew members at the site deserve recognition for putting their emergency training into action, recognizing the injury, calling 911, and minimizing hazards like the running forklift near that man. A group of employees from SDS Lumber, along with Officer Ed Gunyon of the Bing & White Salmon Police Department, are the next recipients of a 2021 Lifesaving Award. A longtime employee had just returned from a break at the SDS Lumber plywood plant when he suffered a cardiac arrest. Dryer tender Chad Wilkes saw the collapsed employee, immediately called for help and ran to his side. Supervisor Yolanda Figueroa, line tender Randy Karstens, Martin Guzman, and Adolfo Alvarez joined Chad to provide help. No pulse was detected on the employee, so 911 was called and CPR began. After several minutes of CPR, Levi Matson brought over the automated external defibrillator to help jumpstart his heart. When emergency responders arrived about 10 minutes following the 911 call, the employee's heart was beating again. He was airlifted to a hospital in Portland, Oregon, where he recovered. The morning after the incident, a paramedic who was on the scene that night called the SDS Lumber office, saying the efforts of the employees saved the man's life. 3 employees of Whatcom County Public Works are being hailed as heroes. On the night of July 16, 2020, ferry captain Gary Poole noticed a kayak off in the distance while he was transiting from the Gooseberry Point ferry terminal to the Lummi Island terminal. Captain Poole thought it was odd that a kayak would be that far off from shore and decided he would keep an eye on it. After departing the Lummi Island ferry terminal, Captain Poole noticed there had been no movement of the kayak. He maneuvered the ferry off its normal course to investigate. As the ferry approached, it became clear to Captain Poole the kayak was adrift. The paddles were floating away from the kayak, and 2 people, a young man who was not wearing a life vest and a small child who was wearing a life vest, were in the water. Deck crew Tom Phillips and Doug Cash quickly pulled the kayakers onto the ferry, warmed them up, and made sure they were okay. When the ferry arrived at the Gooseberry Point ferry terminal, the young man and child were reunited with an older family member. Captain Poole's keen awareness of his surroundings and the quick and professional actions of the MV Whatcom Chief ferry crew resulted in a safe and happy ending to a kayak trip that very easily could have ended in tragedy. Sometimes, despite heroic efforts to save someone's life, there is not a happy ending. This year's Life-Saving Humanitarian Award goes to Maddie Freud, employee of the Bainbridge Athletic Club. Maddie was working at the club when a coworker ran in yelling someone had hit a bunch of cars in the parking lot. Maddie ran out to check the scene but didn't see anything unusual at first. Then she noticed across the street part of the fence was missing. She investigated further and saw a vehicle had driven through the fence and gone over an embankment and down a hill. Maddie yelled for her coworker to call 911 and get the automated external defibrillator, or AED, and a first aid kit. She climbed down to the vehicle and saw a man lying in the car unresponsive. She checked him over, and when she found he didn't have a pulse, she used the AED and stayed with the man until paramedics arrived. The 73-year-old man was transported to the hospital, where he died from an apparent medical condition. Maddie was understandably shaken by the incident and news that the man she tried to save didn't make it. The emergency crews and her coworkers want to recognize her for the heroic act she performed trying to save a life. Congratulations to all of the Life-Saving and Humanitarian Award winners. Thank you for looking out for your coworkers and complete strangers who owe their lives to you.
Thank you all for attending and for the critical work you do every day keeping Washington workers safe and healthy. Please return to the virtual lobby, and in a few minutes, we'll have our keynote presentation by Dr. Charlie Cartwright. We hope you enjoy the conference.